Hi guys, welcome to the first St Leonard's vlog. The excitement is real. Join me for this first vlog from the very exciting location of my kitchen. Ooh, welcome to my crib. I'm actually just doing the washing up, which is assume what PewDiePie does when he does his vlogs. So the plan is that we're going to take you through a day at a time, different to the written vlog. The video vlog, we're going to take you through each day as it comes. So I'm recording this on Thursday, and so the first day will be Friday. We'll take you through, tell you what's happening, see how it works. If you like the video, subscribe to it, I guess, or write something in the comments. And where we talk about consent forms, they'll be in the bottom in the description. Links to them will be there. Yeah, so today's Thursday. Tonight, year 9 cell is at your normal time, in your normal place, and then you're actually talking about what you're going to do next week to decide on that. So Jonathan reliably informs me that's what we're doing. Tomorrow is Friday. I'm so good at days. Tomorrow we've got Friday Pathfinders, obviously, but before that we're actually arranging some flowers in the church. So from about 2:30, obviously if you're in school 2:30 is no good, but from 2:30 till after school time, so if you're at school pop in and if you fancy it, we're going to do some sort of creative way of arranging flowers because the Ensham Carnival and the Ensham Flower Festival are happening, and we always do obviously what is objectively the best flower arranging display anyone has ever seen, and weirdly it just gets better every year. It's more fun than it sounds if you don't like flower arranging, so come and have a go. We'll probably try and come up with something creative, something interesting to do. So that's at about from 2:30. We'll probably finish by 4 at the latest. Can't spend that long arranging flowers. Then it's Pathfinders. Pathfinders is actually a joint one, so younger and older are together this week. It's a film night, and Dora's leading it. I won't be there. So we're going to have a film night. You're going to have a choice of 3 films. So if you bring any DVDs you think are amazing, Dobber will then whittle them down to 3, and then you guys will have a choice of 3 to make the voting quicker. And so it's 6:30 till 8:30. So if you're usually at younger Pathfinders, then you're staying half an hour later. If you're normally at older Pathfinders, then you're coming much earlier. So don't just arrive at 8 if you go to older Pathfinders, because you'll have missed most of the film. Saturday is Carnival, and they're giving us a pretty generous donation to do our usual jobs. If you are involved in Soul Survivor and want to do fundraising, you should already know about this, and you should have been given the opportunity to sign up. If you don't know about it or don't know what's happening, please get in touch and let us know that you'd be up for doing it. It's quite hard work. It's a lot of moving things, lifting things, putting up tents, organising things. But it's actually quite a fun day because we do it all together. So yeah, you should already know what's expected of you for that. If you don't know, or you think you're coming and you haven't told us, or you've never heard of it before, then get in touch and we'll sort it out. Sunday, there's no Sunday Pathfinders or Cypher because it's an all-together carnival service. The children's work is actually happening, but there's no youth work because we're staying in for the carnival service. Monday, we've got our 2 usual cells. So year 10 cell will be meeting at the normal time of 5:30 at Caroline's house. And then 7:30 is the year 7 sale, like normal. Half of you will be on the bath trip, I imagine. Half of you were on it last week. That's all right, we forgive you, just don't ever do it again. But we're just having normal sale.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Tuesday, year 6 sale, 6 o'clock till 7:15 in the church hall. Feel free to, if you're in year 6 and this is the first you've heard about it, feel free to come along. We've had one session where we've set the rules and like decided what we want cell to be, but it's okay to come to second session. You can join in whenever you want to. Wednesday is year 11 cell. We're meeting at 7:30, our later time, and I think Marion will be with us this week, which is good. And we're just going to have, we've already done our social and meal together. We're going to look at what it means to be a Christian when there isn't any cell. Thursday will be dependent on what happens tonight, but you'll be having your social and your meal probably. Friday, we've got year 12 and 13 cell. And we'll actually have a special guest speaker. Jennifer Clark's coming, and she's going to do a session on CAP money management, which from people who've done it, I've never actually done it before, but from people who've done it, they say it's amazing, and people who've gone to uni, who I've spoken to who've done it, said they found it really helpful in terms of managing their money for themselves. There's just some useful kind of budgeting advice, and it comes from a Christian perspective and a kind of very wise perspective, because Jennifer is both Christian and very wise. Then we've got our joint Friday Pathfinders trip, which is going to Wet and Wild, which is an aqua park. Again, you should have already had letters for this. You should know what's happening. So if you want to come, make sure you've got your consent forms in and paid. It's going to be really fun. They're giving us a discount because there's a lot of us coming. It's basically a big inflatable obstacle course on a lake. And my favourite part is there's a big kind of bag thing that you sit on one end and then someone heavy jumps on the other end and you go flying. If you haven't heard of it or you want to know more, links for the letters are below, or you can just get in touch and talk to us about it. But come along. If you came last year, you know it's fun. If you've never been before, come and find out what it's like. And that is a full week. So that's a wrap as to what's happening this next week. The other thing that's different about this video blog or vlog or vlog is that we're going to have a little bit of a Bible bit at the end of every one, hopefully. If it becomes a thing. If it doesn't become a thing, then we'll just have done this one, and there's one Bible bit. But this week's one comes from the bit that I'm reading at the moment. It's in 2 Corinthians 10. I'm just going to read a little bit, but read the rest of it for yourself. It's kind of 2 Corinthians 10 and 11, really, this, and a little half of 12, so it's a big chunk. But I'm just going to read you a little bit, which really stood out to me. You know, it's not some amazing wisdom. It's just something that I noticed and thought, that's really interesting. I've not noticed that before. So it's the first verse of 2 Corinthians 10, verse 1 to... just verse 1 really. It says, "By the humility and gentleness of Christ I appeal to you. I, Paul, who am timid," and it's got like little single speech marks. What is that called? Anyway, "I, Paul, who am timid when face to face with you, but bold towards you when away." I just thought it was really interesting, because he then goes on to kind of give a defence of himself. He does a bit of joking, boasting about why he's such a good apostle. But that first bit of "I, Paul, who am timid when face to face with you," I don't know about you, if you don't know who the Apostle Paul is, he's a pretty big deal in Christianity, and he wrote a lot of the New Testament. And when I imagine him, I don't imagine him as timid. I imagine him as someone who's really bold and brave and would, you know, almost offensive, like would say what the truth was, even if it was a little bit rude. You're like, "Oh, Paul, come on." You know, we've all met someone who's like that. That's kind of how I imagine Paul to have been. But he says, "I, Paul, who am timid when face to face with you." And he talks in other bits about coming and speaking with fear and trembling and not being gifted at public speaking. Or at least that's the kind of impression that comes out through these verses that I've been reading. And it totally changed my opinion of Paul. And it might not be right. Someone wiser than me might say, actually, historically, he was all of those things that you said before, and he wasn't at all timid. Anyway, I think the point still stands, because he's obviously writing to defend what he's been doing, and saying, actually, I'm serving you guys because I love you, and I'm serving God because I love him. And there's some super apostles who people seem to be kind of raving about a bit more than Paul, and I think Paul's nervous that people are going to get led astray by these guys. Anyway, the point that I took from it was, even the Apostle Paul, who I see as this kind of super Christian and super apostle and someone who I really look up to, he felt timid. And I got the impression that he didn't really feel like the people who he was serving were properly appreciating him. And I think sometimes that's true for us. If we're trying to reach out and follow God, we might not feel like we're the best equipped person to do what we think God wants us to do. We might look around and be like, there are people who are better qualified, people who've got better skills. Or we might feel that people who should be on board and should, you know, people we might be trying to help, or people who we think should support us in things, might not necessarily, and that can sometimes feel really hard. But actually, none of that matters. Those two things don't matter. What it's about is trusting God's call, trying to follow him, and the other stuff is irrelevant, just trusting that God will use what he asks you to do. Anyway, that could be totally theologically rubbish, feel free to skip over that bit. But see what you think. Read 2 Corinthians 10, 11 and half of 12 and see what sort of comes out to you when you read it.
Survivor's coming.